At the very core of every single successful organization is a discipline that, let's be honest, is often misunderstood: human resource management. So today, we're going to peel back the layers and see how HRM went from just being an administrative task to an absolutely critical, strategic powerhouse. So, to kick things off, let's start with a really basic question. Just think about it for a second. With all the amazing technology, the global supply chains, the complex financial tools we have, what is the one thing, the one asset an organization has that truly can't be copied? The answer, when you boil it all down, is it's people. It has to be. Every single innovation, every brilliant strategy, every great customer experience, it's all driven by human capital. And it turns out how a company manages this asset is probably the single best predictor of whether it's going to succeed in the long run. But this idea that people are a strategic weapon is actually pretty new. And to really get why it's so powerful, we first have to understand the massive shift in thinking that's happened over the last few decades. See, in the past, what we call HR today was just personnel. It was seen as this administrative chore, kind of tucked away from the real work of the business. The famous management thinker Peter Drucker even called it a mix of a file clerk's job and a housekeeping job. It was all about keeping records and putting out fires, totally disconnected from the company's core strategy. Well, today, that's all changed. Modern human resource management, or HRM, is proactive and strategic. Now, what I love about this definition is the idea of bringing people and organizations together. It's not a one-way street anymore. The whole point is to deliberately line up the goals of the individual with the goals of the business. And this comparison just nails the philosophical shift. The old personnel management, it often saw employees as a cost you had to control, to minimize. But HRM, it sees employees as valuable assets you need to invest in and develop. You're moving from a reactive, top-down control model to a proactive, commitment-based one, where strategy and culture are everything. Okay, so if HRM is all about strategic alignment, what are its actual goals? What's it trying to do? Let's break down the core aims that really drive the whole discipline. Basically, HRM is guided by 4 big objectives that are all linked together. First up, you've got societal objectives. That means being ethical and socially responsible. Second, organizational objectives, making sure HR is directly helping the company hit its main goals. Third are functional objectives, keeping the HR department's own contribution in check. And finally, and this is key, personal objectives, helping individual employees reach their own career goals. So you can think of those 4 objectives as boiling down to 3 practical aims that HR has to constantly keep in balance. Number 1 is organizational effectiveness, right? That's about hitting those company and functional goals. Number 2 is employee development, which takes care of those personal goals. And number 3 is social responsibility, which covers the societal stuff. It's like a 3-legged stool. If you neglect any one of these, the whole system gets wobbly and can really hurt the company's ability to survive. All right, we've got the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. We're going to look at the 2 sides of the HR coin: the big picture strategy and the on-the-ground actions. To actually put its goals into practice, HRM works on 2 different levels that are totally connected. You can think of it as the game plan versus the actual plays on the field. The managerial functions are about building that high-level framework, while the operative functions are the specific day-to-day things that get done. So the managerial side is this constant cycle. It all starts with planning, figuring out where you're going. Then you move to organizing, building the structure and assigning the work. After that comes directing. That's all about communicating, motivating, and leading the team. And finally, you have controlling, where you measure how you're doing against the plan and make adjustments. That's the strategic playbook. And then you have the operative functions. This is where that strategic playbook becomes reality. This isn't just admin work, it's action. Procurement, make sure you're hiring the right people to fit the plan. Development is all about training them and honing their skills. Compensation is how you motivate them. And integration is how you build a strong, unified culture. Every one of these is a direct result of that high-level plan we just talked about. Okay, so we've got the strategy and we've got the execution. But what's the bottom line? What's the real payoff here? Let's tie all these pieces together and see how this all creates a serious competitive advantage. At the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to get this perfect alignment between your people practices and your business strategy. I mean, when your hiring, your training, and your rewards are all pulling in the exact same direction as your company's big objectives, you create a system, a culture that is so powerful and so difficult for anyone else to copy. This isn't a support function anymore. This is a core driver of success. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? We live in an age where technology, products, even entire business models can be copied in a flash. The one thing that's truly unique, the one thing that lasts, is the collective skill, the drive, and the culture of your people. It's the only competitive advantage that's truly sustainable. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Think about your own organization, your own workplace. Is people management treated like a checklist of administrative tasks, or is it seen as a strategic process designed from the ground up to cultivate the single most important asset you have? Because the answer to that question, well, that can make all the difference in the world.